In this video, I'm going to share my top 10 tips for a successful vendor event. So keep watching. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hasfa and you're watching Preston Every Design. In today's video, as I mentioned, I'm going to be sharing my top 10 tips for a successful vendor event. So I did my very first event back in May, and since then for the last 6 months I have immersed myself in doing vendor shows. I have done over 25 shows since May. Now I believe immersion is a great teacher, and so that's why I feel like now is a good time for me to share with you some of the tips that I have learned along the way. I know there's so many videos out there from very experienced vendors, and by no means am I an expert, but I think that there's something that could be gained from my experience as a rookie at this. So if you are new at this, or if you're deciding on whether you should get started, I hope that this video will help you, because I was in your shoes not long ago and I'm fairly new at this myself. So let's go ahead and get started. So my very first tip is inventory. Now, this could be a very broad subject. So what do I mean by that? Inventory is, what are you going to sell? You cannot sell what you do not have, right? When I think of inventory, I think of a few things. The number one thing that I consider is scale. I like for my booth to have items in varying scales. Why is that? Well, I've noticed that when I have items that are all small, my booth looks cluttered, right? And then when I have items that are all big and not have any smalls in there, it looks very uncozy and very unwelcoming. You want to have a variety of scale in your items. You want to have some big items, of course, because you can charge more for those, so you have a greater opportunity for earning. But you also want to have some small items because they give you an opportunity to price lower, and that way you have something in your booth for everyone. So remember to make sure that you scale your items, have some larger items, have some medium items, and have some small items. This will allow for the most attractive staging for your booth. My second tip is pricing, or price tags, I should say. Once you have gotten all of your inventory ready, you have all your merchandise, the next thing you want to do is make sure you go through and price everything. I cannot tell you how many times I told myself I will price these items once I have them set up at the booth, and then I get so busy, I get caught up, and that does not happen. And guys, people don't want to have to ask you how much items cost. So make sure that you take the time to price all of your merchandise when you are done creating it. I find that it's easier for me to price the items that I have finished for that day, so that way they do not pile up. Now, I'm going to link the price tags that I use below. I get them from Amazon. It's 200 tags for $5.99, and with my Prime membership I get free shipping. I like these particular tags because they're just the right size and they have enough room for me to make any notes that I need. So tip number 3 is about packaging your items. Now, it's so important that you package your items so well so that they will travel safely. Several times I've created items, and then in the midst of traveling, something gets damaged, and then I arrive at the market and now I can't sell it. I have to tuck it away, bring it home, do some repair, and then try to sell it again. This takes a lot of time and you will have to waste a lot of materials. So take the time to package your items safely. Make sure everything is securely packaged. I wrap everything individually before I put them in their designated totes. Now, for the larger items, I use these blue bags from Amazon that I'm going to tag below. For the smaller items, I have some carriers that I made out of some felt cloth. The breakable items, I wrap them in bubble wrap. So make sure that your items are packaged safely so that you're not wasting your time and you're not wasting materials, because that is money that you could be making. Tip number 4 is to pack the day before. Yes, if you can, pack your vehicle the day before. Why is this important? Well, when you pack the day before, you're not rushing. You have time. You can make sure that everything is packed safely and neatly, and you can make sure that you don't forget anything. Twice while I've been doing these shows, I've forgotten some very important things. Lucky for me, my local farmers market that I do weekly is only a 15-minute drive. So I'm able to call my husband and he can bring some things over to me the times that I have forgotten. For those of you who have shows that are very far away, you may not have this privilege. So make sure that you take the time to pack the car the night before. If you're one of those people who likes to create a packing list, make sure you're going through your list the day before and make sure you're actually checking things off your list. It's one thing to make a list, but if you do not check that list, then it's really pointless. So make sure that you are taking your time, go through the list, make sure you have everything you need, and you will be glad for it. Tip number 5 is to arrive early the day of the event. Now, if you think it's going to take you 1 hour to set up your booth, I say add an additional hour to that time. I arrive at my local farmers market at 6:45 every morning. The market opens at 9. This allows me enough time to make sure I set up all my structures, I can schedule my merchandise to my liking, and I am not rushed. It is so important for you to make sure that you arrive early because you don't want to be stressed out the day of the show. And when you're running late, it's a really stressful thing. You might run into traffic. There might be issues. I don't know. Whatever happens, you want to make sure that you have enough time to account for it. So be sure to arrive early so that way you allow yourself enough time to set up your booth to your liking. Tip number 6 is staging. Now, I know we all know how important staging is, so be sure that you present your items in a way that makes them the most beautiful. When I stage my booth, I try to create an ambience. And I actually have a video on how my booth has progressed from when I did my first show to when I did my 20th show. So make sure that you are being attentive when you stage your booth. If you're going to do multiple shows, find something that you can improve with every setup. Every time you set up your booth, take a look at it. See what you like, see what you don't like, see what you can improve and what could be done differently. Because as we know, staging is such a vital part of how to make our items shine and make sure that we put their best foot forward. So staging is really important. So now that you have your booth set up and everything is to your liking, the show gets started. And tip number 7 is all about presentation. And I don't mean how your booth is presented because that's part of staging, in my opinion anyway. But I mean presentation of your purchased goods. When a customer buys something, how do you give it to them? I feel that this is so important, almost more important than what's in the bag, is how it's presented. Make sure you're not handing your items over to your customers in those wrinkled grocery bags that we all tend to collect under the sink. Take the time to invest in some durable, good quality bags so that when they purchase your items, make sure they walk away feeling proud of that purchase. It's so important. And another thing that I've actually learned about presenting your items is that when I do my show and I have all of these beautiful bags walking through the market, people are looking at those bags and they're saying, oh, where'd you come from? Which booth did you get that bag from? And so this draws even extra traffic to my booth. So yes, make your packaging stand out enough that even when people leave your booth, they're still advertising for you and they're drawing extra traffic to you. And guys, we work so hard. We are artisans. We spend so much time making sure that we create and curate beautiful merchandise. And it deserves to be displayed in beautiful packaging. So take the time, pay the little extra money to get really nice packaging for your items. Tip number 8 is personal appearance. And I hope that I don't step on anyone's toes by talking about this subject, but I have found that personal appearance is so important. Now, I know that this is relative, so whatever it means to you to present yourself in your best appearance, then that's what I'm talking about. I know for me, I spend a lot of time setting up and I carry a lot of heavy materials. So I always take an extra shirt. So after I'm done setting up, I can go to the ladies' room and I can freshen up. put on some deodorant, put on a new shirt that's not covered in sweat or stains, and put on a little lipstick, fix my hair, or whatever it is, put on my earrings, or whatever it is that you have to do to make sure that you are presenting yourself just as beautifully as you present your merchandise. What it is that you have to do so that you're not looking razzled and tasseled. Take the extra time to make sure that you are also presenting yourself, because let me tell you, it does make a difference. Okay, we're almost to the end, guys, I promise. So tip number 9 is what I call SEE factors. SEE, SEE factors. Now, this is an acronym that I have been using for a very long time. I actually learned this back in my days, a little over 10 years ago, when I used to work in direct marketing jobs. If you've never had to do direct marketing, praise your heavenly stars. But if you have, I know that you are much stronger for it. Let me tell you, it's not easy. But one of the things that they teach is SEE factors. Now, this is something that I also use now as I am in front of people yet again. So SEE factors stands for SEE, right? The S stands for smile. You want to make sure that you smile at everyone that comes to your booth. Smiles are so contagious, but they make you look so welcoming and so inviting. Even if someone wasn't planning on coming by, you never know what your smile means to them. Someone might be having a bad day and you smile at them, and instantly you have changed the trajectory of their day. And it's something that costs you nothing. So make the effort to smile at your customers, smile at your neighboring vendors, just smile. It really does make a difference. Now, the second letter in the SEE factors is E. So after you smile, which is the S, you have the E. Now, the E is for eye contact, right? So I'm smiling and I'm making eye contact and we're engaging, right? You're building trust as you are making eye contact, and it's letting people know that they are important and they are valued, right? So smile and make eye contact. And then the last E for the SEE factors is enthusiasm, right? So you want to smile and make eye contact, but also speak with enthusiasm, because it's so contagious, right? And people can't help but be drawn to you. So make sure that you are drawing those people in with your SEE factors, which are your smile, eye contact, and enthusiasm. Tip number 10 is be positive. Let me tell you, things are not always going to work in your favor, but if you remain positive, you can overcome anything. Your sales are going to fluctuate, the weather is going to change, Murphy's Law is going to happen. Anything that will go wrong sometimes. But your job is to remain positive through it all. Now, does this mean that you won't have any issues if you're positive? No, it just means that you will be able to overcome and get through them, and you'll be able to recover from the mishaps much faster if you remain positive. I know it's really difficult sometimes, but do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you are maintaining a positive outlook, and I promise that you will be changed for it. You will grow from it, and you will find that nothing really becomes, a hindrance for you. Those objections, those roadblocks that get in your way, if you remain positive, they become stepping stones to even greater opportunities. So do your best to remain positive through everything if you can. Those are my top 10 tips on how to have a successful vendor event. But I do have a bonus tip, because there's so many tips I couldn't share them all. I had to narrow it down. But I feel like this bonus tip is really important, and I feel like I should have made space for it in the top 10 tips. But my bonus tip for you is to get personal. What does this mean? I don't mean take things personally. I mean, when people come into your booth, take a moment to engage with them, find out something that you can connect with them personally, right? I do a lot of scriptures because I like sharing my testimony on my journey from Islam to Christianity. And so a lot of people will look at the scriptures, and you could tell that there's a special meaning for them about that certain scripture. And so I always ask, well, how special is the scripture to you? What does it mean? I can see it means something to you. And then people will share. And this opens a whole new door, because sometimes in business, people are spending money, not necessarily because of your goods, because they can go find those same goods elsewhere sometimes, right? But they are connecting with you. and they're purchasing these items because of you. So don't miss out on an opportunity to connect anytime you can. Take the extra time to connect. All right, friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video has been helpful, and I hope that you found something of value that you can implement to help you have an even more successful show. If you did learn something that you're going to implement, would you please share it with me in the comments below? I would really love to hear from you. And if you have any tips that you would like to share with me that I can implement to have an even more successful show, I would really love to hear them as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.